to stay at home and cover all your tuition assistance, it's a program worth listening to. And I've got my son. My son is actually graduating this year. I have never spoken to him about the military at all. And all of a sudden, he's planning to go to college this year. And now he's looking for tuition assistance programs. Now we have one for him. Okay. I guess that paused me. I don't know. But again, just like I'm talking to you, we'll be talking to you guys as high school juniors, seniors, even college students. Again, my son is a high school senior. He was probably in the same type of situation that some of you guys were in. All through school, my son has struggled. We were just wondering whether or not he was going to graduate before I retired this year. This year, for whatever reason, he decided to make a change. He went out and started boxing. Got actually met a couple of friends, and I didn't realize at the time that they were seniors while he was a junior. And they're in college this year. So meeting them and realizing that he's got a lot of other people that he could communicate with and talk to, they made a serious impact on him and influenced him. This past year, he's increased all his grades from literally C's and D's to A's and B's. So if you're wondering about being successful, doing what you need to do and doing what you can do, anything is possible. You just got to put your mind to it. We're going to pass this off to Sergeant Roscoe in a minute. Let him complete this and talk about what he's done in the military. Again, I was an Army reservist for 19 and a half years. Since 1986, I decided to push my career a little further. And back in 2005, I left Compass Bank and I started recruiting for the U.S. Army and Army Reserve in 2005. And I've been recruiting now for 17 years. So I've done 2 tours in the U.S. Army. So a lot of times people tell me, hey, I can't join. It's going to be a long time. For a person who had no intention of joining the Army, I've been in the Army now for 36 years. So that should give you an idea of what things can be like. Again, I was a restaurant manager, a college student, a high school student, and a banker. So I've been all over and done a lot of different things. And after all the things that I've done, I found that the U.S. Army and the Army Reserve have benefited me way more than other things that I've had in my other accomplishments. I'll be back sometime during the presentation to talk to you guys again about some of the U.S. Army Reserve programs, as well as Sergeant Orozco. And I'll be in the room with some of the students in here who want to talk to me. Thank you, and we look forward to speaking to you.
I don't know, I feel like I don't. How's everybody doing? My name is Sergeant Orozco. I'm from Texas. I'm from El Paso. I'm gonna move on to the next slide. There you go. So that's me, obviously minus the picture. I do speak Spanish. I'm from Texas. I was born in Houston, in Richmond, Houston, but I was raised in El Paso, Texas, which is a border city, that borders Mexico. So I grew up speaking Spanish at home and then English in school. Originally I joined in 2003, so I've been in for a little while as well. But originally I joined the Coast Guard. So I did 5 years active duty in the Coast Guard. I decided to get out. And then in 2008, I got out. In 2012, I decided to join the Army. My brother joined the Army roughly in like 2009. Seeing him join, it kind of brought something to me that I wanted to do it as well. So then I followed his footsteps and I joined the Army. And so I've been in now since 2012. We went on 10 years. Well, just hit 10 years in the Army, plus the 5 I did 5 active duty and then 1 in the reserve as well in the Coast Guard. So again, why did I join? Just because I think I've always enjoyed the structure that the Army provides. I enjoy the fact that I know who my supervisor is as well as who I'm in charge of. As far as favorite assignment, I would say, honestly, believe it or not, being deployed. I was deployed twice. I went to Afghanistan in 2013, and then I went to Iraq in 2016. Both times I've made friendships that have carried on through, and I still have those friendships till this day. I think that you see your coworkers or battle buddies, as we like to call them, and you guys become family. You guys become brothers and sisters, and I think that that grew. That relationship grew, and I still have them. I still talk to them all the time. So I think that's because I was reservist, I never left El Paso, and so that's why I think that probably my favorite sign is just being deployed with my guys. As far as what the Army has done for me, same thing as Sergeant Livens was. I was a reservist, so I was a part-time soldier. At one point in time, I was a full-time employee. I worked 40 hours a week, and then I went to school in the evenings to continue my college education, and then I went to reserve in the weekend. So I did everything all at once. And through the Army, I was able to get a lot of training. Me not knowing anything about the computer stuff, I deployed with the Army in 2013, and I had a soldier that showed me a lot of stuff. The Army then sent me to school to get certified. They trained me, they paid for my certifications, and that allowed me to go out and find a job in El Paso, that I enjoy doing, which is computer stuff. And then I realized that I wanted to do more of the Army, so then I volunteered to do recruiting in 2018. And I've been doing recruiting since 2018. My first place where I recruited out of was back home in El Paso. I did 3 years there. I recently got here to California in October. I'll be here for the next 3 years or so. So if any of you guys want to join, I'm here. And at this point, I have about 8.5 years left to retirement. I'd honestly say that when I first joined, I never expected to stay this long. But as time passed on, I realized that this was a great career for me, as I enjoyed it. And I think I did pretty good in it. So I got 9 more years, I'll retire. When I do retire, I'll be 47. At that point, my plan is to go be a middle school math teacher and be a coach. That's the end goal, to retire out of the Army, go back to school and become a coach. I love sports. Anybody that wants to talk sports, I'm all about it. But yeah, that's a little bit about who I am, where I'm from, and what I've done. What we'll do is we'll move on a little bit into the presentation. Starting to we'll kind of cover some topics, and then eventually we'll open it up to any questions that you guys may have. If you do have any questions, write them down. That way, whenever it comes time, you have some questions. And when I say that, I'll be honest with you, I'll answer any questions, whether it's work related, whether it's personal, what we've done, where we've been, anything that you guys want to ask, we'll answer. Okay, so we're an open book.
You drop them in the chat too.
Yes, most definitely. You go. Luke.
Hello, everybody. I'm back over here and talk about the Army jobs. So as you know, Army have 2 components. One is the regular Army, that means active duty. And we also have the Army Reserve that's considered as all part-time jobs. So it's only 2 days per month and 2 weeks from the summertime. So if you guys want to continue education, want to go college, that's not an issue. And yeah, we have the Army Reserve over here. But if you consider to have a nice career jobs, you can do the active duty. So for active duty, we have the most jobs. We have more than 150 careers specialties. So it's including, I'm gonna break down to different career fields. So the first one, we have some job in the administrative support. And this job is more dealing with the Army personnel, administration, finance, legal, information, and the religious service. Okay, so before I'm gonna open up to other career fields. So if you guys have your smartphone on your hands, and please download, we have an app, it's called Army Career Apps. So it's gonna shows you guys all the jobs that we have. And yeah, so they have like the qualification and what's the requirement, and whether it's green card holder or if you are US citizen, and what's the score requirement to qualify for those jobs. So next one, okay. So for the administrative support, the jobs available in like human resource, unit supply specialist, financial management, and some like a chaplain assistant. So that's under the administrative support. So next one, I'm gonna talk about the intelligence and the combat support. So this one is more support the Army personnel involved directly in the combat. They work behind the scenes to support and provide intelligence to soldiers on the field. And some of the jobs is like a ammunition specialist, cyber specialist, civil affairs, food service, intelligence analysis, and some like translator and the human intel collector. For the arts and the media, so we also have some like fan jobs like a photographer, musician, graphic designer, and broadcast technicians. That's more service for both military and civilian audience. And the next one, we're gonna talk about the legal and the law enforcement. It's more focused on keeping the people and the property of the Army safe. The jobs like firefighters, military police, criminal investigator, security and emergency specialist. For the combat team, we have a lot, of course, Army, we have a lot of like the combat arms, like infantrymen, armor crewmen, tank crew, special operations. In the Army, we have a lot of job dealing with the mechanics. So we have a lot of equipments from like the heating and the cooling mechanics all the way to the vehicle mechanic who serve for aircraft, helicopter, and watercraft, and some heavy equipments. We also have the computer and technology that's including the technical and information support for a variety of areas. Position available in computers, communications, information technology, network switching system operator, like satellite, radio, and some signal operations. And the Army also have a big field in related to the medical and the emergency operations. It covers from like operating room specialists, nursing, medical, laboratory, dental, and eyes, and pharmacy. We also have some construction and engineer jobs like electrical, masonry, plumbing, as well as heavy equipment operations. The last one, I'm going to talk about the transportation and aviation. So jobs including the air traffic controller, truck driver, parachute riggers, and aviation operators. And so this is all the active jobs. So for the next one is the other component is the Army Reserve. So it's a little bit less than the active duty jobs. It's more like a 120 career specialties, is something like a support for the local community, and it's more like a non-combat related jobs. So I'm gonna turn into Sergeant Orozco. Maybe he can talk about the Army Reserve, what the Army Reserve can do in the local areas.
So real quick, just to kind of piggyback on what she just talked about, obviously you guys can see in there that it does include all those opportunities. If you guys are interested in any of them, we can kind of break it down into specific jobs within those fields. When it comes to Army Reserve, it varies depending on location that you're at. Here in the area, I think the closest one is in Bell, and we do have a variety of opportunities there. It's just a matter of what you want to do in any of those fields. Like Sandu mentioned earlier, the reserve, it is a part-time job. So you're not going to be getting a full-time check, seeing as you're only going to work 1 week in a month. On top of that, you're going to be required to attend 24 days a year, right? So 2 days out of the month times 12 months, 24 days. And then in the summertime, you'll be required to attend what's called annual training. That annual training consists of 2 to 3 weeks straight of training. And that can be done here locally, or sometimes you might go somewhere else, such as a little bit north, Fort Irwin, where you might go to Wisconsin and conduct your 2-week training. It varies depending on what kind of unit you're in. That's kind of the gist of the Army Reserve. If anybody's interested in doing something like that, where, hey, I want to go to school, but I also want to serve, and you can do both, you're more than welcome to, take advantage of the Army Reserve. That's for them. Well, okay, so obviously, when we first were told about this, we were expecting to do it in a classroom environment where we were gonna have all you guys. I'll open it up if anybody wants to kind of, do an introduction of who they are, and if they're interested, by all means. Obviously, I know it's a little bit different doing it virtual. But if not, we'll kind of keep it moving and go on to the next slide.
You want to introduce yourself? When you introduce yourself, I'm gonna give you some nice army shirts.
All right. All right. So this is a little bit of who we are. Obviously, our recruiting office is literally like 3 miles down the road. So it's literally 3 miles down the road, give or take, right here on Colorado Boulevard. That's our office phone number. And then typically we're there from 9 to about 7 on Monday, Tuesday, 9 to 5 on Wednesday, Thursday, and 9 to 3 on Fridays. Typically, we do not work weekends. But if it's something that, has to get done on the weekend, we're more than welcome to come and meet you. All right. But we just ask that if you guys make an appointment, you guys show up. Those are some of the Instagram handles that we have here. In case you guys want to follow any of us, you're more than welcome to find us on there. That's it. Okay. So at this point, you guys know a little bit about who we are. Does anyone have any question or anything that they want to ask, or, even if it's something that maybe you heard from one of your friends, or you saw online, or you saw in a movie, anything, we'll answer. Tattoo? Okay. Anyone else? Does anyone in the, I guess in the Zoom, do you guys have any questions? I don't know. Is there a way to view who's here? Yeah, there you go. All right, all right. So either we get someone to ask some questions, or I pick a random person. Okay, in the chat. Let's see. How is life in the military? This is one of the things that a lot of people tend to think that, that all we do is be soldiers. I'll be honest with you, we have a normal life. Our job right now is 9 to 5. So a typical day, let's go kind of bring it back down. On a typical day, you as an Army soldier, once you're already done with your basic training and your advanced individual training where you learn your career, you'll have a regular job. Let's just say, for instance, that you're, I don't know, a mechanic. You can go in on a Monday through Friday. You'll go in at 6:30 in the morning, do your physical fitness, your workout. You might either do some running, some push-ups, maybe even play some sports. Once you're done with that, you get told, hey, all right, go shower, change, eat breakfast, be back in the office by 9. At 9, you show up to your place of work, and then you start doing your work, whatever that may be. Whether it's a mechanic, you kind of go work on your vehicles. If you're an admin specialist, then you go work on paperwork that you may have to do, send out some emails, stuff like that. If you're a finance specialist, you work on your any kind of issues that soldiers may have with their pay, stuff like that. Once you're done with that, at about 11:30, they'll say, hey, go eat lunch. You'll go to lunch, come back about 1 o'clock. And then you work from 1 typically till about 4:35. And then at 5, hey, you're done for the day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And then you kind of just do that every day, Monday through Friday. Typically the weekends you'll have it off, and then you do, with your time off, you do with it whatever you want, right? So long as that you don't get in trouble or do anything that's illegally or morally wrong. In my case, obviously I love sports, so I would just go out, play some sports, hang out. Now that I am married, I have 3 kids. Once I get off, I go home, I spend time with my kids. My kids play sports, so I take them to their games, to their practices, and it's a normal life. For someone that would be in your shoes, that joins right out of high school, that is young, you'll live in a place called barracks, which is basically like in a dorms, right? In a college dorm style. You'll live there for free. You won't have to pay no rent, no utilities, nothing, right? And then you'll have access to what they call a dining facility, a DFAC. You'll have 3 meals a day. You'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for free. And then all the money that you make is your money. You do with it whatever you want, whether it's, you pay for your car. Basically, you're gonna have to pay for your car, your cell, and then if you want like internet or Wi-Fi, stuff like that. But yeah, basically our life in the military is the same. The only exception is that we wear this uniform every day, Monday through Friday, with the exception of like if you go to do an exercise that you're going to go to the field for 2 weeks, then you'll go do that and then come back. But typically it's a regular Monday through Friday job. I would say the exception to that is if you have a career that is a little different, such as medical, where you may have a swing shift or an overnight shift. Same thing with military police. If you have the overnight shift and you patrol overnight, stuff like that. But typically, if you're just one of the other jobs, you have a Monday through Friday job. Hopefully that answers your question. If it was something a little bit different, by all means, kind of add on to your question. But otherwise, any other questions or anything else that you guys want us to talk about?
Is that uniform comfortable? Like, how is it?
So the question was, is this uniform comfortable? Honestly, I'm comfortable with it. I think that the only time that it probably gets annoying is when it's hot out, because then I'm one that sweats right away. So I always want to I start sweating right away, but that's, I think, the only time that I've been uncomfortable. Your boots, you get issued certain boots. I would tell you to keep those boots at the beginning until you break them in. And then if you still don't like them, then maybe at that point you can buy some new ones. Obviously, all 3 of us have our,
From Nike.
yeah. So we've been in for a while now. So my first boot I got, I think I kept for a couple of years, and then I finally said, okay, I'm gonna spend some money and get some boots. But once you boot, you wear your boots for a while, you break them in, and they're comfortable.
For uniform, I think we also have the summer one, and it's more thin.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't bring it today. I wear this one. I have it's a different top. It's a different material where it's a little lighter. It's not as heavy. It's not as thick. So it seems a little bit more comfortable. This is more of I guess, a regular uniform where I guess keep you warmer. What else? But I think the best thing is that you don't have to worry about what you're gonna wear.
Yeah.
You just,
Save a lot of money.
yeah, you wear the same thing every day. With the exception, obviously, we do have our dress uniforms, where if you're going to something more formal, then you wear your other uniform, but otherwise we'll be in this. It's a good question. Anything else? Someone else? I know,
But you have some questions.
I know there's an Orozco in here. I don't know the name, but I want a question from Orozco. Or as I say it, Orozco. Is there an Orozco in this class? In the Zoom?
Yeah.
Is he a student though, or?
Not that I know of. You can click on participant
Where?
in the bottom,
It's because it doesn't, on mine, it doesn't show, does it?
or you can. Participant in the bottom.
Oh, right there. Here we go. Oh, there you go. So Joseph Orozco.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. I like it. I like your last name.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Come on.
I
just
asked
ask-
I asked the previous question. How's life in the
Oh.
military?
Oh man, nobody else wants to ask another question. Okay. Hey, well, I appreciate you.
Thank
Let's
you,
see.
sir.
Okay, let's pick on someone else.
Hey, tell them if they have not downloaded the app, please go ahead and download it. Just scan through it and look at some of the jobs
Okay.
that are in there, and then ask questions from others, but they don't realize exactly how many jobs are on that.
Okay, so Sergeant Levins here was just telling me to remind you guys that if you guys haven't downloaded the app, please do so. Even if you're not necessarily thinking that you're gonna join now, just download it, take a look at it. It'll show you, all the jobs that we offer. And sometimes, like I think he stated it as well. When I was in high school, I was an athlete. I used to play basketball, football. Yes, it was a little bit different. Obviously, sports in Texas are a little bit different. But I started varsity as a freshman in basketball, and I started varsity in football as a sophomore. So I thought I was pretty good, right? So when I used to look at the ROTC kids, I used to tell myself, I'm never going to join the Army. So I'll be honest with you, I was one of the ones that I used to say, I'm never going to join. But 18 years later, here I am and still wearing a uniform. I plan on wearing it for the next 8-9 years until I retire. And honestly, I can honestly say it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's provided me and my family with a lot of opportunities. I always tell everyone, by no means am I rich, but when it comes to money, right? I'm not rich when it comes to money, but I would honestly say that I do have a lot of things that make you rich, right? I have a good family, I have a place to live. I have a car, my wife has a car, my kids have food, they have clothes, they have shoes, whatever they need. So even if you're not thinking about joining right now, just download it, take a browse. Maybe you see something that you wanted to do that maybe you didn't know that we offered. One of the biggest misconceptions is the fact that everyone thinks that all we do is combat or all we do is war. The issue is that I think the media and or movies portray, a lot of that stuff because that's what people want to see. They want to see the action. They want to see the cool things. But at the end of the day, we also have people that work on paperwork. We have people that work in a hospital, in a dental clinic, in a lab, in an eye clinic. We have a little bit of everything. So just take the time, look through it, and see, maybe you might see something that you might like. Oh, he asked the previous question. Oh, awesome. All right. Okay, so let's go with Karina. I know you have a question, Karina. Or is it Karina? Is that a teacher? Oh, I'm picking all the wrong ones. Okay, what about Marina? Marina, do you have a question?
I did have a question, but you covered it all.
Okay, so just ask me a random question.
Would you let your kids join?
Would I let my kids join?
Yeah.
So funny story, I tell my kids all the time. Well, not all my kids, I tell my oldest, my son. He's into sports and he plays sports as well. I ask him all the time, hey, what do you plan on doing? His thing is go to the NBA, right? And so I always tell him, I said, hey, you know what? To get there is very difficult. It's not easy. Not everyone makes it. And even though really good ones, it's difficult. So I always tell them like, hey, okay, that's fine. You work on that, but you got to have something that's, in case that doesn't come through, have something. And so I always tell them, hey, you know what? If they want to, I would definitely recommend it. I served, my brother has served, and I've had several nephews that have joined. Off of my wife's family, 2 brothers have joined. So I definitely think if it's something that maybe you can use as a stepping stone if you have plans for something else, most definitely. Some people get out of high school and they don't really know what they're going to do. If that's you, then definitely I think it's worth looking into. Like I said, you might join and it might be just a stepping stone to get some of the benefits like the GI Bill to be able to pay for your college education. You can definitely do that and then kind of move forward from there. And if you like it, by all means, stay like me and Son Levins, and you can retire. My brother retired and now he enjoys life as a retired soldier. So if my son, so I'll be honest, I'm not going to force him to join, but if he says that he wants to join, I'm all for it. I think it would be really beneficial for him. So yeah, if he doesn't get any scholarships, I might be putting him in the Army. One second, sorry, I think he wants to add some things.
As I said earlier, I really had no intention of talking to you guys. I was just kind of auditing the class, but I've been doing this so long and I've answered so many questions for 17 years. Even when students don't ask questions, we know that you have some. I know you guys were asking questions about putting our children in. As I said earlier, my son is 17, and I've been recruiting for 17 years, and I've been in the Army for a total of 36. I have never mentioned the military to my children before. They know what I do. They know that I'm a recruiter. I never brought it up to them unless they brought it up to me. After this August, I'll be really leaving California. I don't really want to live here, so I'm planning to leave here. However, my son has been here for the last 5 years. So that would be his entire high school career and a year or two prior to that. So he's really a California dude now. He wants to stay here. I told him I would leave him here, but he had to fulfill some things for me. Since we have no family here, he's going to be on his own at like age 18. And I said to him, if you can show me that you can survive on your own, I'll leave you here. So my rules were, if you plan to go to college, fine, find you a college, get enrolled and get accepted, but you have to also show me that you have a means to survive somewhere, in other words, somewhere to live, how to pay for it, and how to pay for your college. What my son did at 17, raised all his grades up to A's and B's. He just got his first, two college acceptance letters. He's accepted to, I think he's planning to go to Orange Coast Community College. He came back to me and told me, okay, hey, Dad, they've got dorms, so I have somewhere to live and I have something to eat. Great. What are we going to do about tuition and paying for all of that? I'm going to join the Army Reserve. I have no problem leaving my son here now. He can go to college. He can stay in his dorm. He also has his tuition assistance paid, and he has income. If he wants to work another job, he can do that. And I'm telling you guys that because I kind of want you to compare. He's in the same shoes that you guys are in. And I realize, sometimes a lot of times people have in their mind what they want to do and how they want to do it. Or a lot of times just what they want to do and not necessarily how they're going to do it. That's always the hard part, to figuring out how you're going to do it. Army Reserve is a good way to go. I'm not trying to push you to join, but we all know that you're going to need tuition, and California is not a cheap place to live. So if you're looking for some way to be on your own, be your own person, get your own income. I was speaking to one young man in here already about his plan to be a tattoo. Hey, that's still Army and Army Reserve. They've got different programs. You don't realize that, okay, hey, I want to be a tattoo artist. Hey, what if you want to, while you're going to training, learn how to be a tattoo artist? You got some income coming in. Whoever's going to be training you, I'm assuming there's some kind of type of education that goes with it. So how about being able to pay for that tuition? After that, even the Army has programs for small business loans. So if you want to, if you plan to own your own business, even in some area like that, the Army can give you money to start a small business. So there's all types of things. And I say that because we want you guys to ask some questions to see how the Army can best benefit you. You might not think right now that it can, and the Army's not the best thing since sliced bread, believe you me. But right now, while you're trying to do some things, it wouldn't hurt for you to ask these questions while we're here to answer them. We're not trying to beat you guys over the head to join the Army. Our job is to just talk to young people and give you opportunities, because most times people just don't ask these questions. I hope you guys went ahead and downloaded that Army Career Navigator. It may not seem like a whole lot to you right now, and I'm asking you to download that Career Navigator because it's got all the other jobs that we're not going to mention. I was talking to the young people in here a minute ago when I first got here back in the winter of 2016. In 2017, I met a young lady at PCC College. Her plan was to go to college, and she wanted to go into business. I asked her to take the ASVAB for me so she could just take a look and see what her options were and opportunities were. The first job I pulled for her was an air traffic controller. And I asked her first to just look up the pay for air traffic controller. She had no idea that she could join the Army. We would train her, give her experience and a license to come back here to LA and work at LAS as an air traffic controller. That's a 6-figure income. And that's just one of them. Another young lady I put in the Army, Army Reserve, I put her in as a what did I put her in? 35 Fox, which is an intelligence analyst. She did basic training and job skill training. Immediately, as soon as she came back, I don't know how they found her, but some government agency contacted her and said that they were ready to hire her. I don't know if it was the FBI, CIA, I have no clue. She didn't bother telling me, but they wanted her to do they want her to have 1 year of experience. So at 18, they found her and offered her a position. I found her a way to go and do 1 year of a deployment with the Army Reserve. She should have completed that by now, and she should be off to DC. I don't know what she's doing by now, but all we're asking you to do is just give us an opportunity to take a look at some of these jobs that we have to offer you. You don't have to make a decision to join the Army Reserve. Just ask the questions and come in and sit down with us, and we can see if you're qualified and see what we have to offer you. Just give us that opportunity. Thank you.
So I'm just wondering if anybody else have any question for us, and if not, we're gonna include, this is all gonna include our presentation today. So if anybody want to know about the Army benefits and what we offer, like health insurance wise and your family members. So as what I mentioned, I will travel like a 3 overseas tours. So I will be able to bring my families. If you worry about your family, your kids, I know you guys 18, but for if you guys have, you can always bring your family member wherever you go, you can always bring them. So every year you will get 30 days paid of vacation pay. And compared to other civilian sector, I think we offer the most vacation days. And also I know there are so many females, they so worry about oneself if they can pass the basic training wise. I just want to tell those like females, you are stronger than what you think. So everyone, I joined the military when I was 30, so I'm 38 right now. And if I can pass the basic training when I was 30, I know everyone, you guys can make it. So it's easy. And if nobody else have any question, that's all include our conversation. And thank you for you guys to attending our presentation. I see you guys at the recording station.
You guys have like any like jobs like including camping? Yeah,